I'm Avi Arditi with Roseanne Skirble, and this week on WordMaster, we answer some questions we've gotten about how to pronounce words in American English.
We'll start with a question from an American expatriate in Thailand. Bob Wildman writes, listening to VOA helps me keep up with the current state of the American language. He tutors some students in English, so he gets a little worried when he hears things that clash with his own usage.
Bob writes, where I come from, the Midwestern U.S., the word protest is stressed in the first syllable as a noun and on the second syllable as a verb. Ditto for words like combat, suspect, and many others. But I frequently hear VOA news readers say something like 500 people were protesting outside the U.S. Embassy instead of 500 people were protesting outside the U.S. Embassy. Is this first-second syllable stress distinction falling out of American English?
We checked with Dennis Barron, head of the English department at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Professor Barron says patterns of stress are indeed shifting with some pairs of words. Case in point, you can protest all you want, but often people will say protest for both the noun and the verb.
Another question. Snowman, a listener in China, wants to know why the P in the word spread is pronounced like a B. Professor Barron says this has to do with the nature of sounds that are voiced. That is, they vibrate the larynx versus those that do not.
Put your finger on your throat when you pronounce the P and the B sounds. You can actually feel a vibration with the B. And what's happening in the word spread is that the P, which is without voice, it's voiceless, is picking up some voicing from the sound that follows it, the R sound, and that's why it sounds to some people like a B.
Here's a different example. Take the word spelled Later. In natural conversation, English speakers do not pronounce it later. They say later.
It's almost like a D. Pronouncing it with a very precise T sounds too correct.
In other words, wrong. Professor Barron says this is why it's important to listen to native speakers, whether in real life, on radio or TV, or in the movies, to hear how they pronounce words in the course of natural connected speech.
Schoolbook language learning tends to give you only a very limited slice of the language. And so the big focus on language learning now is to try to put yourself in natural language situations rather than artificial ones, preferably interactive ones, so that you could actually be talking with a speaker of the language or writing back and forth to a speaker of the language so that you're not simply an observer but are a participant in the interaction.
Now, I suppose what makes all of this harder is that there are no, national official rules for how you say insurance versus insurance or researcher versus researcher.
Exactly. We don't have an academy. We don't have a group of people who ratify or establish correctness.
The pronunciation police.
We don't have the pronunciation police or anything like that. As a result, there is a concern to be correct, but there's also a sense that people don't want to be corrected. So it's a social issue, correctness, rather than a legislative one.
Exactly, and prejudice, of course.
Prejudice can arise. There was a commercial, an advertisement for a vocabulary improvement tape that they were trying to sell people. And a very ominous voice comes on saying, people judge you by the words you use.
Well, not to judge you, but you said advertisement, and yet I've always pronounced that advertisement.
Advertisement. I would say advertisement or advertisement.
Let's go on.
And then you're saying advertisement.
I'm going to stop you two.
Talk about stress over stress.
Dennis Barron is a professor of English and linguistics at the University of Illinois and the author of several books. And that's WordMaster for this week.
Our email address is word@voanews.com. And we're on the web at voanews.com/wordmaster. With Roseanne Skirble, I'm Avi Arditi.
You say either, and I say either. You say neither, and I say neither. Either, either, neither, neither. Let's call the whole thing off.